So welcome to everyone to our Bhagavad-gītā class. Nice that all of you are here. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Let us offer a most humble obeisance at the Lord's feet of Srila Krishna Dvaipaya and Vyasadeva. At the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Let us also offer a most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and all his eternal associates, beginning with Sri Arjuna. May they all, and let us also offer a most humble respects to the scripture, Sri Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. May they all bless us and empower us to understand and take to heart these wonderful instructions and receive them in the same mood as did Arjuna. So we are reading from chapter 13, text 13. Jñeyaṁ yat tat pravakṣyāmi. Jñeyaṁ yat tat pravakṣyāmi. Yaj jñātvāmṛtam aśnute. Yaj jñātvāmṛtam aśnute. Anadi mat-param Brahma. Anadi mat-param Brahma. Nāsad tan nāsad ucyate. Nāsad tan nāsad ucyate. Jñeyaṁ yattat pravakṣyāmi. Jñātvāmṛtam aśnute. Anadi mat-param Brahma. Nāsad tan nāsad ucyate. Jñeyaṁ yattat pravakṣyāmi. Jñātvāmṛtam aśnute. Anadi mat-param Brahma. Nāsad tan nāsad ucyate. Jñeyaṁ yattat pravakṣyāmi. Jñātvāmṛtam aśnute. Anadi mat-param Brahma. Nāsad tan nāsad ucyate.
Jñeyaṁ, knowledge. Yat, that. Tat, which. Pravakṣyāmi, I shall now explain. Yat, which. Jnatva, knowing. Amrtam, nectar. Aśnute, taste. Anadi, beginningless. Mat-param, subordinate to me, Brahma, spirit, na, neither, sat, cause, tat, that, na, nor, asat, effect, ucyate is called. I shall now explain the knowledge, knowing which you will taste, the eternal. This is beginningless, and it is subordinate to me. It is called Brahman, the spirit, and it lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord explained the field of activities and the knower of the field. He has also explained the process of knowing the knower of the field of activities. Now he is explaining the knowable, both the soul and the supersoul, respectively. By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the supersoul, one can relish the nectar of life. As explained in the second chapter, the living entity is eternal. This is also confirmed here. This is no specific date at which the jiva was born, nor can anyone trace out the history of Jiva Atma's manifestation from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it is beginningless. The Vedic literature confirms this. Na jñeyaṁ va vipashchit. The knower of the body is never born and never dies, and he is full of knowledge. The Supreme Lord is also stated in the Vedic literature as pradhana-ksetrajna-patir Gunesha. The Supreme Lord as the Supersoul is the chief knower of the body, and he is the master of the three modes of material nature. In the Smriti, it is said, dasa-bhuto harer eva nanyashvaiva kadachana. The living entities are eternally in the service of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed by Lord Caitanya in his teaching. Therefore, the description of Brahman mentioned in this verse is in relation to the individual soul. And when the word Brahman is applied to the living entity, it is to be understood that he is Ananta-brahma as opposed to Ananta-brahma. Ananta-brahma is the super Brahman personality of Godhead.
jñeyaṁ yattat pravakṣyāmi. Yat jñātvāmṛtam aśnute. Anadi mat-param brahma. Nāsad nāsad ucyate. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. This is beginningless, and it is subordinate to me. It is called Brahman, the spirit, and it lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, the Lord has already explained about the field of activities and the knower of the field. The knower of the field. But who is the knowable? So here Krishna introduces knowable with certain characteristics by which we can ascertain who Krishna means as the knowable. As soon as one knows the knowable, knows also what is eternal. So the eternality aspect is also an intrinsic nature of the knowable. Is also beginningless, anadi. The word adi means creation. Just like in the first invocatory prayer in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's janma adi asya annayadi taratachateshu. So here Janma Adi, Janmadi. So Adi here means creation, birth, creation. Similarly, here Adi, or anywhere, when Adi is used, it means from time immemorial, beginningless. So if Adi means creation, and on Adi would mean before the creation, prior to the creation. So jiva was already there prior to the creation of this material world. And it is also subordinate to me. One should not think that because it was prior to the creation, we also have read that the Lord was also there prior to the creation. But even after everything is dissolved, all the jivas become non-manifest, the Lord still remains. So therefore, He is superior, and everything else, Brahman, is subordinate to Him. It's not either equal only in certain aspects, but not in all aspects is Brahman equal to Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So therefore, Brahman is subordinate, and it is called Brahman, the spirit. So Brahman, the spirit, means the transcendental nature. Spirit, nature, they're synonymous. And it lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Brahman, the spirit, is transcendental, and therefore it is beyond the jurisprudence or the influence of time and effect, cause and effect. So who is the knowable that Krishna is referring to? Now he is explaining the knowable. Who is that? Both the soul and the super soul respectively. The knowable means the soul. Unless one knows the knowable, every other thing does not have a solid basis or fundament. No foundation. It is the knowable which gives it the foundation. Why do we say that? Because if the knowable is not properly understood, then all these other complex criteria, issues, or points would not have a structure. For knowledge to be communicated, it has to be within a framework, a structure, and a gradual ascension through logical conclusions. That is the process of communicating that which is not known and is to be known. So knowable is the soul. We don't know the soul. We know the field and the knower of the field. Now one can say the knower of the field is the soul, which is true, but when it is related to the body, the field, and to this material world, then here the knower is actually the intellect, consciousness, intellect. But that consciousness is in a conditioned state, in a limited state. It is in a contaminated state. Therefore, the soul is not to be understood as the actual knower. The soul is no doubt the actual knower, but only when we understand that the field, which is the body, as well as the phenomena, and in relationship to that, who am I? Then there's an incomplete knowledge. Incomplete. But as soon as one knows the knowable, what is the knowable? The soul and the supersoul are the knowables. By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and supersoul, one can know, can relish the nectar of life. So now we find a relationship, a connection. What is the connection? The knowable is actually referring to the knower of the knowledge. But previously, Krishna didn't want in the whole explanation, the paradigm of these three, knowing, this knowledge has three aspects. Knower, knowledge, and the object to be known. So these are the three aspects of knowledge. Who is the knower? What is to be known? And what is that which becomes known or knowledge? So in the earlier verses, Krishna didn't want to crowd our mind with so many different, so he broke it up. First of all, he established the field of knowledge and the knower of that field of knowledge. Now, the knower of the field, it will be in accordance with the condition and characteristics of the field. Now, when we say the knower of the field, then we are identifying ourselves, the knowledge, with this body, as well as the phenomena. So there, in such a relationship, the knower is not the soul, rather that part of our consciousness which can relate to phenomena as well as the material world, as well as the body which execute actions. Field of action. So now Krishna comes to introduce the actual fact that the knowable and the knower are the same. That which is to be known is real knowledge. That which is to be known is real knowledge. What is the real knowledge? Who am I? That is real knowledge. And who is the super soul? because it is the super soul that decides what will be the fruit of action that we earn. So he is the deciding factor, as well as he is eternal, as well as he is the supreme, and everything else is subordinate to him. So the knowable is jiva. Knowable is jiva. And the super soul is also the knowable, because jiva's existence is fully dependent on the super soul. Although jiva is independent only to a certain degree, he's not completely independent, and therefore he's subordinate. And not only he, even that aspect of the super soul, which is known as Brahman, the transcendence, because both spirit soul as well as super soul belong to the region of transcendence. So therefore, Brahman is introduced as the very foundation of the existence. Brahman is the foundation of existence. And it is not only the foundation of existence in this spiritual world, but is also in the foundation of existence in the material world. Brahman. That is the all omnipresent. Everywhere he is present. And because of his presence, everything is also resting on him. So therefore, the Brahman has these two very important qualities which can explain the entire philosophy of existence. That is that Brahman is eternal, Brahman is beginningless, while the knowables, that is Supreme Soul and the Jiva Soul, belong to the category of Brahman. They are also eternal and beginningless. Whereas the Super Soul is also superior to everything. So this is the relationship on which our spiritual practice rests on. This is the foundation, and it is known as Sambandha Gyan. The knowable has to be known properly, or the knower. As soon as the knowables or the knower, the field, is seen in connection with its original nature, that of Brahman, then everything becomes clear. And therefore, the previous knower of the field and the field was limited to this material creation. But now, with the extension of the horizon of knowledge, where the knowable also is introduced, first we are getting some taste, as it is described here, taste of transcendence. Taste of transcendence. So questions?
Hare Krishna.
Haribol?
You just mentioned that the process of knowing is a gradual ascension with logical conclusions. Now, will you please explain that?
Well, you know, when the premise is what is to be known and who is to know, and what will ultimately be the purpose of knowledge, all these facts, these factors have to come to a proper conclusion, which is airtight, watertight. That is the meaning of conclusion. That so far discussed, we agree to the conclusion, yes. But it does not close the possibility of further inquiry. Knowledge means inquiry. So when the first premises have been established and the conclusions have been drawn, then the next premises or point has to be placed. And there will be thesis, antithesis, thesis. Thesis, antithesis, and conclusion. So it gradually builds up because our tools for acquiring knowledge is in the very beginning when we are aspiring to know, these tools are very limited. The tools are our 5 knowledge gathering senses. So as long as the parameters of perception, which is a function of our intellect and brain, are not extended by proper philosophical debate and dialectic, the experience of reality or what is to be known or knowledge will be extremely limited. So this is always a gradual ascension. The same physical entities as the object of knowledge will also take on different dimensions. Water, for example. Our experience of water is that we use it daily for quenching the thirst, taking a shower, washing our utensils, this and that. But when we go into the other factor, the effect of water by drinking is not only quenching the thirst, and by taking shower is not only by cleaning the body. So all these things will then naturally also become what was imperceptible becomes perceived. In that way, when one understands in its entirety the function of this material world, then one has proper knowledge of Prakriti, or at least the functioning. So unless you know the functioning of Prakriti, you're not able to deal with Prakriti in the proper manner. So there will be a disturbance and through distortion of knowledge and perception with Prakriti, and Sambandha Gyan will then be not properly adjusted, understood.
Is the element of graduality is inevitable? Is it like going over the rung of the ladder, one step after another?
It is the nature of the creation. It is like that. The nature is being created in a certain way, but our perception of it is what makes the gradual ascension, not the object itself.
One more question. Srila Prabhupada in one of the lectures says that as you advance in spiritual life, your the sleep and the hunger they also get less and less. Can you explain this?
Well, you get a taste for it. It's really hunger and sleep. These are physical necessities, but they can also be controlled. It is known that how much food is required, how much sleep is required. The sleep is actually meant for taking a rest, a physical rest. The mind is still working. The mind doesn't come to a rest. So therefore, sleep is not really meant for a mental rest. And therefore, they have to do meditation for mental rest. So sleep is basically for... Now, for the normal people, the state of wakefulness is a constant relationship and a constant experience of the negative. Everything in this material world is an illusion. The reality in a warped state. So this is negative. So in the wakeful state, we are always experiencing the negative. So in order to take relief, get relief from this constant bombardment of the negative energy, one needs sleep. Sleep and dream is a state when the negativity is practically reduced to half. So therefore, the mind gets some kind of rest from the negativity, but not from its functioning. And then in the sleep, there are moments of deep slumber, shushupti. These are the three states of consciousness. We read from the scriptures. Shushupti is the third one, deep slumber, where the experience of the negativity is practically nil. But it is still a nihilistic state where negativity has been completely dissolved, but the positive aspect has not yet been experienced. So therefore, this is what the Buddhists want, nihilistic state. The complete devastation of the negative. But since they don't have understanding of the positive spiritual world, they conclude that this is the highest state of consciousness. So, sleep is only required to escape the negative influence of this illusory material nature. But for a devotee, because he's constantly engaged in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, and also rendering service in the mind, Vandanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, and so on and so forth. His mind is constantly steeped in the positive. And because it's steeped in the positive, and no diminishing of energy, no diminishing of energy is experienced as is experienced when one is interacting with the phenomena, the material world. And due to the material world's negative influence, our entire vitality, mental as well as physical vitality, is being subsumed. So for a devotee, actually sleep is not required. And this we know from the prayers of Srinivasacharya, who has sung the Sadgoswami Ashtakam, Nidra Ahara Vihara Kadi Vijitao Chatyanta Dina Chao Jao. Nidra means sleep, Ahara means food, eating. Nidra Ahara Vihara. Vihara means walking aimlessly, roaming about, loafing. Not only with the body, but also with the mind. Loafing with the mind. Nidra Ahara Vihara Kadi Vijitao. They have conquered over this. So a devotee doesn't need this because, again, where vitality is not being sapped, the vital energy in our body and mind is not being sapped by our experience and interaction with the negative, the vitality of the mind, body, and consciousness remains intact in Krishna consciousness. So the physical vitality doesn't need to be replenished by food. So very little, when required, one can take. Of course, this is a very elevated state of consciousness that one must also. So Prabhupada was talking about the Goswamis and others who are on that level.
Arjun was a Gudakesi, conquered
Yes.
sleep.
Yes.
So he was so advanced that no negativity could ever touch him.
Exactly. There's so many examples. Sleepless, Lakshman never slept one night for the entire 14 years. And therefore he could conquer Indrajit, Ravan's son, who had received a boon. Whoever for 14 years does not sleep and does not eat and does not see the face of a woman.
Very good. Is there any example of a devotee who conquered hunger?
Hunger.
Yeah.
All the Goswamis, that's why Srinivas Thakur is singing, Nidra Ahar Vihara Kadi Vijitau. They have conquered over hunger.
Conquer hunger means they wouldn't eat?
Yes. Or whenever they felt like they ate. I mean, if a snake can live from eating air, another name for snake is known as Vayubhuk.
Yes.
So if a snake can do, why can't a human being do it?
So the urges of hunger in these Goswamis
Huh.
were insignificant. They were
Yeah.
so elevated.
Well, I would put it in another way. The nectar they were tasting was filling their necessity for hunger to that degree they didn't even feel a pinch of it.
Very good. This is mind-boggling. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Any more questions? Hare Krishna. So when Krishna so desires, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Srila Prabhupada blesses us, we shall get to hear Harikatha once again very soon. Hare Krishna. There is also of I thank all of you for your patient hearing and beg forgiveness for all the mistakes I have committed. Let us once again offer our most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Vyasadeva, at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, our most humble obeisances at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, and his eternal associates, beginning with Shuja Arjuna. Let us also offer our most humble respects to the scripture, Sri Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. Hare Krishna, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.